very good evening to each one of you. On behalf of the Bangalore Chamber of Industry and Commerce, we welcome each one of you to this webinar on Discover the Netherlands Business Climate. The objective of this session is to interact with the officials from the Netherlands Consul General in Bangalore and learn more about the investment opportunities in Netherlands. Also, the economic development and business incentives that could benefit the Indian companies considering their business expansion in Netherlands. The session is being organized under the aegis of International Business Expert Committee of BCIC. We would like to specially thank Mr. K. Ravi, past President FKCCI and Chairman of the International Business Expert Committee of BCIC, and also Dr. Bose Nair, Co-Chair of the International Business Expert Committee of BCIC and Vice President World Trade Center, Bengaluru, for curating this session for the benefit of our members. We have excellent lineup speakers for today's session. The speakers for today's session, His Excellency Mr. Gert H. Koop, Consul General of the Kingdom of Netherlands, South India, and Hein Ledwin, Deputy Consul General of Kingdom of Netherlands in South India, and also from the Netherlands Foreign Investment Agency, Mr. Balaji Venkatraman, Area Director, South India. And we also have Mr. Prithvik Partha, Head Business Transformation, ISOL Netherlands. The session will be moderated by Mr. K. Ravi. On behalf of the BCIC, we express our sincere thanks to all the speakers for accepting our invitation to address today's session. We also like to thank all the participants for joining today's session. We request all the participants to kindly mute your mic and webcam option. This is to enhance and keep the bandwidth strong, as well as avoid any disturbance in the background. Please post your questions in the chat box only. The speakers will respond to the questions during the session, and in case time do not permit, we shall be sharing the queries to the panelists and revert back to you accordingly. May I now invite our President, Mr. T.R. Parshuram, to kindly do the welcome address and share his thoughts on the Netherlands investment opportunity. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Prithvi. Ladies and gentlemen, very good evening to all of you. Wish you all a very happy and a prosperous new year. And hearty welcome to this session on business with the Netherlands. And from Bangalore Chamber of Industry and Commerce, I deem it a great pleasure and privilege to welcome you all. Your Excellency, Mr. Gert H. Koop, Consulate General of the Kingdom of Netherlands in South India, Mr. Hein Ledwin, Deputy Consulate General of Kingdom of Netherlands in South India, Mr. Balaji Venkatraman, Area Director, South India, Netherlands Foreign Investment Agency, Mr. Prithvik Partha, Head of Business Transformation, ISOL Netherlands, Mr. K. Ravi, my colleague, Chairman International Business Expert Committee of BCIC, and Dr. Bose Nair, Co-Chairman International Business Expert Committee BCIC, distinguished invitees, members of the chambers, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, a very good evening to all of you. On behalf of the chamber, I extend a very hearty welcome to all of you, all the distinguished guests and members present today evening. Before I dwell on the subject, I would like to briefly introduce the chambers for the benefit of the participants. The Bangalore Chamber of Industry and Commerce represent 95% of the capital investment and 90% of the corporate labor employed in the state of Karnataka. In fact, one of the oldest chambers in the state started as Greater Mysore Chamber of Industry and Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce started in the year 1976, representing the large and medium industries in the state of Karnataka. We have presently a membership of 800 plus companies representing various sectors of industry, such as manufacturing, aerospace, aviation, IT, biotech, pharma, engineering, garments, food processing, steel, and services. Our vision is to become the preferred chamber in Karnataka to facilitate business growth and add value to its stakeholders. Our mission is to act as a bridge between the government and industry and shape government policies to support ease of doing business, be a single point of contact for government to grasp issues and recommendations, from industries and other stakeholders, become a catalyst for growth and competitiveness through sharing of best practices and know-how within the member community, provide strategic support for small and medium businesses to scale up their operations and remain competitive. I would like to highlight some of the new initiatives of BCIC during this financial year. Start to Sustain Cell was formed this year. In fact, we have named our theme this year as Namma Karnataka, a gateway to the future India. So this was very, very important and significant given the kind of pandemic situation. So I coined this word with my colleagues. So to support this activity, we have started few initiatives. The first of its kind is establishment of Start to Sustain Cell, called the S2S Cell, to support ease of doing business in Karnataka. This cell will work very closely with government in providing inputs to improve the overall ranking of Karnataka state on ease of doing business and attract huge investment to Karnataka in the coming years. This committee is headed by none other than Mr. Vidya Shankar, the former Additional Chief Secretary, Government of Karnataka in the Department of Commerce and Industries. Then we are trying to set up a Center of Excellence or an Academy of Excellence to foster human development and to enhance the skills and make sure right manpower is available for the industry in Karnataka. Especially after the COVID, we have to establish new skill sets because of digital transformation, the associated technologies on machine learning, IoT, artificial intelligence, big data analysis, quantum data computing. All these things have called for new set of skill sets. And from Bangalore Chamber of Industry and Commerce, we have been working very, very actively with the Government of Karnataka and also the National Skill Development Council and the Karnataka State Council Corporation on skill development. And we are working very actively to promote the skill initiatives. And we are trying to set up this academy in collaboration with various other stakeholders. Then we are also setting up a micro, small and medium enterprise MSME council, which we have set up at the beginning of this term to understand the challenges, the pain points some of these companies have been undergoing due to the pandemic crisis and how to support them collectively through the Bangalore Chamber of Industry and Commerce and raising their voices to the government of Karnataka in a timely and in a quick way. We are also the first regional chambers in the country to promote aerospace aviation on Sector Skill Council, jointly with HAL, CIAT, and National Skill Development Corporation in the field of aerospace aviation, headquartered in our member organizations, namely the Dynamatic Technologies Bangalore. We have also signed the MOU with other Sector Skill Council, namely the Capital Goods Sector Skill Council and Tourism and Hospitality Sector Skill Council of the NSDC, the National Skill Development Corporation, Government of India, to promote skill development initiative for the benefit of our member industry in the state of Karnataka. And also, we have signed an MOU with Amrita University together with Deloitte in the space of startups, R&D, innovation, and disruptive technology. We have also set up the International Business Opportunities Cell, headed by Mr. Ravi under the International Business. And we are also exploring the possibility of opening an office in Tokyo. We are discussing actively to bring in a lot of Japanese investment to the state of Karnataka. On a similar way, we would also like to work with other countries and collaborate in bringing new businesses to the state of Karnataka. Spreading our outreach in different districts across Karnataka. Today, when we say Karnataka, 90% is represented by Bangalore. So we would like to diversify, decongest Bangalore. Ladies and gentlemen, you know that Bangalore is now a mega city. Our population has crossed 10 million mark. And we have problems of city traffic, congestion, air pollution, water scarcity, and connected infrastructure. So we are trying to decongest Bangalore and move the businesses to other districts of Karnataka. In fact, the new manufacturing policy launched by the Honorable Industry Minister under the guidance of the Honorable Chief Minister. I was there in the yesterday's session. is trying to promote these kind of activities to foster trade and development in the state. Then we are also trying to set up a leadership forum for C-suite members, which organizes regular panel discussion with thought leaders across various industries and sectors. We have also started a member outreach program, engaging with the members through newsletters such as Synergy, Young BCIC, Yuva Chakra, and MSME newsletters coming out with our regular reports. In terms of innovation, we have launched the second edition of Hackathon for the students of the Bcic Technical University, has been conducted successfully last month. Bridging the gap between academia and industry has been very much in our cards. And Dr. Subramanya, the Dean of the RV College of Engineering, one of the premier colleges in the city of Bangalore, has been organizing regular events, trainer programs on disruptive technology for students, and also designing various curriculums. Our BCIC CSR Awards was one of the limelight events in the recent days. The aim of this award was to identify and recognize the awards of the companies in the exemplary work in the areas of corporate social responsibility through sustainable efforts to the community in improving their livelihood and ease of doing business and ease of living. The Chamber has a long-standing relationship with the foreign trade and investment offices worldwide, promoting business and trade opportunities across several nations. In continuation of this, we feel extremely happy to associate with the Netherlands to be the catalyst in furthering their business interest. We would like to emphasize that BCIC would be more happy to collaborate and work closely in promoting business and trade opportunities between India and Netherlands, with particular reference to Bangalore, Karnataka. We are also happy to note that both the countries have been supporting each other on vital issues at bilateral and multilateral levels. It's happy to note that both the countries officially launched the Indo-Dutch startup uplink platform last year to open up the Indian and Dutch markets for the startups from both the countries that are looking to expand to the international markets, the main areas of convergence being waste and water management, cybersecurity, fintech, energy, and commerce. The Netherlands has signed a MOU with Karnataka government in e-health, energy, cybersecurity, and education sectors, with an added opportunity to explore the maximum market with minimum investments. With one of the most open economies in the world and with an outstanding infrastructure providing several tax incentives to stimulate innovation and business activities, coupled with excellent international relations, we are very, very happy to work very closely with Consul General of Netherlands and with key experts from this country. And we at BCIC, we are sure that this session will provide the requisite guidance for Indian companies to expand their business in forging new alliances and partnerships. We assure all our support and cooperation in this endeavor of promoting bilateral trade relationships. I once again take this opportunity to extend a very, very hearty welcome to one and all. Thank you very much. Jai Hind, Jai Karnataka.
Thank you, President Sir, for this wonderful welcome address. Shared our vision of the chamber and also the mission of the chamber. And also like to really thank you for the highlights that you brought on the new initiatives under your leadership. And we hope that the chamber will grow to the greater heights, sir. Thank you very much, President Sir.
In fact, only one point I would like to add. Now it's
Please,
very,
please.
very easy to set up business in Karnataka. In fact, our government has launched a wonderful policy called the ABC, affidavit-based clearance, wherein you can get all the approvals in the span of 3 years and you can start the industries in 1 to 2 months' time. This is a great breakthrough. This will really attract foreign direct investments. And secondly, the land banks are also very easily available today, and industries can buy this agricultural lands very easily from the farmers, and it can be converted into industrial lands in no time. And government has also come out with a lot of incentive programs linked to the performance linked incentives launched by the central government. So we have a huge incentive offers to companies to set up industry in Karnataka. And from Bangalore Chamber of Industry and Commerce, we have the experts in every field, every technology, every company, big companies are with us. So we are fully committed to support in whatever way possible to the government of Netherlands. And we extend a very hearty welcome. We welcome you with a red carpet, sir. to Your Excellency. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Also, sir, there was a digital app being launched yesterday with the Pollution Control Board, which is also a new initiative with the state
Yes,
government.
I was the Chief Minister. So we launched the new digital app for ensuring compliances on water, air, and energy as a part of Karnataka State Pollution Control Board, which makes it very, very easy to operate. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, President, sir.
Sorry,
now,
I've taken a little long time. Sorry.
not an issue, sir. Always good to share the positive thoughts, sir. So now, may I now request Mr. K. Ravi, Chairman of the International Business Expert Committee, BCIC, to set the theme for today's context and also to moderate the session. Over to you, Ravi, sir.
Thank you, Prithvi. Can I now request Mr. Hain to take over? We have one more program before that.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Rafi. Mr. Prithvi, I think you have an old program, but that's okay, no problem.
Sorry about this.
No problem at all, no problem at all. I hope you can see the screen that we have. So thank you, Mr. Parasuraman, for this great introduction, President of the BCIC, and thank you for facilitating this webinar as well. This webinar was set up by the BCIC, Mr. K. Ravi, together with our Consul General, the Netherlands Consul General in Bangalore. And I have been asked to tell you something about the rest of the program and the speakers. Well, this is me. I'm the Deputy Consul General of the Netherlands here in Bangalore. After me, Mr. K. Ravi will set the scene. Mr. Ravi is a well-known figure in diplomatic circles in Bangalore. He has been working with international companies for years already. So not only with our office, but also with the offices of the other countries represented here in Bangalore. He is well known. So Mr. Ravi will set the scene. After Mr. Ravi, we will have Mr. Gert Heikoop, our Consul General in Bangalore since 2018. Mr. Heikoop is a career diplomat. He has been working in many countries before he came to India, amongst others in Iran, in South Korea, in Belgium, and in Canada. And Mr. Heikoop will give an introduction to the Netherlands. After that, we have Mr. Balaji Venkatraman. Mr. Venkatraman works for the Netherlands Foreign Investment Agency, and he is probably the most important person here this afternoon, because if you're a company, an Indian company, and you're interested in expanding to Europe, maybe to the Netherlands, Mr. Venkatraman is the go-to person. He can give you a lot of information about moving to the Netherlands. After Mr. Venkatraman, we have Mr. Prithvi Partha, who is from India, but is currently in the Netherlands. He works for the company iSolve, and iSolve is one of the companies that was assisted by Mr. Venkatraman to move to or to expand to the Netherlands, and he will share his insights, share his experiences. After that, we will have a Q&A session. So if you have any questions to one of the speakers, please do not hesitate to ask them in the chat, and I will try to get them answered by the speakers. And to conclude, we have Mr. Bose Nair of the World Trade Center here in Bangalore. Mr. Nair is also a well-known person at our office because our office is located at the beautiful World Trade Center here in Bangalore. So without further ado, I would like to give the floor to Mr. Rafi for the setting the theme. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Hain. Very good afternoon to all the ladies and gentlemen who have come here today. On behalf of BCIC, we specially acknowledge the presence of His Excellency, Mr. Gert Heikoop, Consul General of the Kingdom of the Netherlands in South India. And we also have Mr. Hein Lagiveen, the Deputy Consul General of the Kingdom of the Netherlands in South India. Mr. Balaji Venkatraman, the Area Director, Nfaa, and also Mr. Prithvi Partha from iSolve, Netherlands. Apart from my own co-chairman, Mr. Bose Nair. And the entire team of Netherlands Consulate in Bangalore for providing the chamber a unique opportunity to organize this interactive session. Thanks to our president, for the first time, BCIC has started International Business Expert Committee focusing on international business. As the chairman of the International Business Expert Committee, I have envisaged the vision of engaging members in exploring international trade, expand their businesses to new markets, understand the rapidly changing trade environment, and keep current with global trade issues. And this program is organized on these lines. Virtual meetings with consulates and embassies and creating awareness on international opportunities to our members was one of the objectives of our committee. I am happy that we are having our first program today with Netherlands. We are focusing on few more countries like South Korea, Germany, Israel, Japan, and Taiwan in the coming months. As you know, the government of India, under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, launched Digital India for ease of doing business. In this context, BCIC will start issuing certificate of origin digitally for non-preferential category. In fact, BCIC will be the first chamber in Karnataka to initiate electronic certificate of origin, where we are going to formally launch this in the coming days. In these days of COVID, when people are predominantly working from home, digital certificate of origin will be a big boon for all the exporters. They'll be saving on time, traveling cost, and also manpower. India and the Netherlands enjoy a very close relationship which started 400 years ago. The Netherlands is the gateway for Indian companies to explore the European Union market, and this is so for EU countries as well looking at India. In fact, the Netherlands was India's fifth largest trading partner in Europe after Germany, Switzerland, Belgium, and United Kingdom. In the financial year 18-19, the total two-way trade stood at 12.87 billion, with exports from India amounting to about $8.8 billion, and imports from the Netherlands at $4.06. It is heartening to note that more than 200 Indian companies have set up their bases in the Netherlands. And I think today we are going to hear from one of the Indian company who already set up their base in Netherlands. Last 3 years were magnificent for Indian-Netherlands relationship, with many high-level delegations visiting both countries and 50 plus MOUs signed in the field of agriculture and food processing, water, technology, smart city development, cyber security, healthcare, clean energy, and finance. Sir, for information, I would like to mention that Karnataka is the first in IT and ITS export, and we have the fourth largest skilled workforce and more than 400 R&D centers. In fact, the top 15 startup ecosystems in the world, and 400 of the 500 Fortune 500 companies have their operations in Karnataka. I don't think Karnataka is, Karnataka is one of the best places to do business. Now, as far as Bangalore is concerned, Bangalore being one of the prominent R&D hub of India, we can foresee a great possibility of science and technology cooperation with Karnataka and Netherlands. The most prominent area of collaboration are, as you know, Karnataka is in the forefront in the health, e-health, energy, cyber security, and education. In fact, Bangalore being a hub for innovative companies and startups, there is a lot of scope to connect and engage with the ecosystem of innovation. We at BCIC would like to assure the Consul General that we will give you all assistance that is required for companies coming from Netherlands and wanting to set up their businesses or have joint ventures with companies in Bangalore. These companies will have the benefit of not only interacting but also collaborating with over 800 with over 800 strong BCIC members, both large and MSMEs. In fact, BCIC has acquired a new and more spacious office in MG Road, We invite the Consul General and the other people to please come and visit our new office. As mentioned by our president, BCIC is planning to open a representative office abroad and make its global presence. In fact, the first one is the Tokyo, since Japan, because our president also works with a Japanese company. We feel that we would like to seek the Consul General's help in identifying a partner or a chamber for opening another representative office in The Hague, in Netherlands. I would look forward for your support in this endeavor so that we can open an office in Netherlands in the coming year. We are also sure the deliberations of this program would provide our members more insights because we are having a very good PowerPoint presentation, and this will give an understanding on the opportunities of doing business with the Netherlands. With these few initial words, and I would like to welcome you all once again and thank you once again. Over to Hein.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Rafi. Mr. Gert Heikoop, our Consul General, can I ask you to take the floor?
Yes, if technology cooperates, I will do that. Can you hear me, ladies and gentlemen?
Yes, we can.
Very good. Namaskara. Good afternoon, all of you here participating in this event, and good morning to those who are tuning in from the Netherlands, where it's still morning. Team up with the BCIC for this event. I might add that we might do this more often. I think that's a good idea. Replying to Mr. Ravi's question, of course, we will be delighted to help you out in assisting you in setting up a shop in The Hague, which is a very nice city to operate in. The Indian Embassy is there also, of course. If there's anything we can do. And referring to your invitation to visit the new office of the Chamber in Bangalore, Hein and I will be delighted to come over and take a look. So thank you for that invitation. I'm very happy to see so many participants, and I'm especially delighted to see the new president of the Dutch Indian Business Circle, Professor Marianne Fransen, also participating in this event and taking time out for a busy schedule. Thank you, Marianne. Good to see you here.
Yes, thank you.
As we already discussed earlier, I just came back from a trip to Holland, actually just a few hours ago. So forgive me if I'm still slightly jet-lagged, and if you see me gasping for coffee, then you know why. When it comes to facilitation, tax breaks and the like, I believe we have a product that is at least as good as that of any other country. Mr. Bcic Venkatraman from our Nfva department will talk about those technical issues later on. But I believe that when it comes to doing business with a foreign country, there is more than tax credits and waivers. You want to have a personal rapport with your business counterparts 8,000 kilometers away, because you will be in that plane that I just came out of this morning and fly to Holland to meet your business partners. And then it is nice that you agree on more than just the price of your merchandise or the nature of your payment conditions. What I'm referring to here is the difference between contact countries and contract countries. What do I mean by that? In contract countries, it's all about invoices, contracts, payment conditions. Most Anglo-Saxon countries are contract countries, the US most of them. In contact countries, like the Netherlands and India, it's important to do business as well, but the relationship is about more than money. It's equally important that you establish a personal relationship with your business partner. In Dutch, we say that we want to taste our partner's kidneys, but that doesn't translate well into English. What it means is that you want to really get to know your counterpart, meet his family, get drunk together in a bar, see a test match or a soccer match together, that kind of thing. And of course, in these Corona times, that's easier said than done. But hey, we're about to get out of COVID, and in a few months, hopefully, we will be going back to normal now that the vaccines are coming, thanks in large part actually to what is happening in India production-wise. So in other words, why take your business to Holland? After all, you have a choice. Why not take your business to Belgium? Their chocolate is better than ours, although they tend to overestimate the quality of their beer. Why not go to the UK, where most people speak English? Or go to France, which is famous for its cuisine? Well, we think we have a few things to offer our neighbors don't. France is great when you speak fluent French. If not, it's not so good. Not many Indians live in Belgium, so when you go there, you might get lonely there. And the UK has just decided to cut all ties with the European Union, so setting up shop in the UK means that you may find yourself cut off from the 450 million internal market that is the European Union, and that is the last thing you want. The Netherlands, it was already referred to by some speakers, is arguably the most open economy in Europe. Fully 1/3 of our GDP comes from export, and 1 in every 3 jobs in the Netherlands is directly or indirectly related to export. What do we have to offer? For one thing, close and long-standing ties with India. Mr. Ravi already referred to this in his introduction. We have been around for exactly 400 years. As a matter of fact, exactly 400 years ago, Dutch merchant ships dropped anchor off the coast of Kerala for the first time. So we have a party to celebrate actually this summer. And we're still the biggest destination of Indian exports to the European Union, not to mention the biggest EU investor in India. But there's more. There are already 25,000 Indians living and working in the Netherlands, not including the 3,000 Indian students going there every year. And did I mention that all Dutch universities are in the global top 100 of universities, and 90% of their teaching is in English. And believe me, the tuition fees in Holland are much lower than they are in the UK or in the United States. And for some people, best of all, Dutch cities have the highest density of Indian restaurants in the EU, so you don't have to go without your own food. And last but not least, one of the things Indians and Dutchmen have in common, apart from hockey, is that in both countries the second language is English, and in Holland over 90% of the population speak English, with a slight accent sometimes, but still. What is more, if you want to take your business to Holland, be it a small startup or a company the size of Infosys, we are there to help you find the ropes. We offer you the best digital infrastructure in Europe and the best startup business climate in Europe. 2 more stats. The Netherlands holds first place in the Global Competitiveness Index in Europe and is number 2 in the Global Innovation Index. So plenty of reasons to go to Holland. For more specific information on what we can offer you, I refer you to the presentation of Bcic later on. This, by way of introduction, I wish you all a very fruitful and enjoyable webinar, and back to you, Heine.
Thank you very much, Mr. Heikoop, for this wonderful introduction of the Netherlands. Can I now give the floor to Mr. Balaji Venkatraman, the Area Director for South India of the Netherlands Foreign Investment Agency.
Good evening. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. So before I begin, this is why it is very unenviable to speak after the Consul General, Mr. Heikoop. He beautifully covered what needs to be said by me. So there is very little that I need to say here. Thank you very much, Mr. Heikoop. Good evening once again to everyone. Thank you very much, BCIC, Mr. Ravi, for the opportunity, and thanks, Heine, for the excellent introduction. As the term said initially, somebody was talking about investment opportunities in the Netherlands, and that's what the title says. Contrary to what it says, you can actually start a business without investing any money. So technically, if you have €1, you can start your business in the Netherlands. My name is Balaji Venkatraman, and I work for the Netherlands Foreign Investment Agency in Bangalore. So who are we? So the Nfva is the operational arm of the Dutch Ministry of Economic Affairs. Our mission is to promote international companies to softly land in the Dutch soil and thereby grow in the European markets. We have multiple things to offer to international companies. One of the main things being the orange carpet that comes with a host of facilities. We have a strong team, about 130 people working across the globe, with Hague as our headquarters. And all our colleagues are located at the Dutch consulates and embassies in all these destinations. So in India, we have 3 offices, one in New Delhi at the embassy, the second one in Mumbai at the consulate, and third one at the consulate in Bangalore. So why Netherlands? This was also initially covered by some of the speakers, but I've just highlighted some of the aspects for you. Nature has endowed the Netherlands with a very strategic location, with a beautiful port on one side and the entire Europe on the other. You can't really ask for more geographical advantage. With a fantastic business climate, a superior logistics and technology infrastructure, companies such as yours need not look any further when you consider Europe as your potential destination. Not only infrastructure, Netherlands also ranks very high in the International Innovation Index. We have an innovation attaché in our office who helps international companies to join hands technologically with state-of-the-art companies in the Netherlands. So, as I said earlier, since we have a port and we are geographically well endowed, 95% of the consumer markets are easily accessible to you within a 1,000-kilometer radius. And it just takes about an hour for you to travel to anywhere in the Schengen region, have your business meeting, and then return home by the end of the day. So in terms of rankings, we have been consistently ranked higher in terms of business destination, and we are second only to Switzerland as per the 2020 rankings. And this is across all ranking agencies in the world like IMD, World Competitiveness, World Economic Forum ranking, and INSEAD Cornell rankings. One of the main reasons why high-tech companies approach Netherlands is because of highly skilled labor. Areas such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, which Mr. Ravi spoke about earlier, all of this talent are available in plenty in the Netherlands. The reason being, Netherlands is home to some of the most competitive universities in the world. Universities such as TU Delft, TU Amsterdam, Eindhoven. These are all our fertile grounds of young graduates, even from India, who have graduated in these specialized areas. It might be interesting to note that every year, close to about 3,000 Indian students go and study in these universities. Language skills, as Kurt said, Netherlands is the only place where you can conduct your business in English. We say this with a lot of pride because a lot of international companies who land in Europe find it extremely easy and welcoming to converse with their business partners and conduct their business. Needless to say, the quality of the life, we are the 6th happiest country on the planet with an excellent healthcare system and a very low unemployment rate. Needless to say, Netherlands will be your attractive destination for your business. So who is here? Netherlands is home to a lot of very popular international brands ranging from ASML to Pharma, Amgen to Airbus to Tesla. You name it, and all these brands, they are present in the Netherlands, not just as brands, but with very strong operational capabilities. Not just international companies, we also have top brands from India who have set up their subsidiaries. The top names in industry like Infosys, TCS, Wipro, and the new entrants like Zoho, ChargeBee, iSolve, Tirumalai. So cross sectors, we do have a lot of Indian companies who have set up their subsidiaries. Incidentally, we celebrated the 25th anniversary of TCS in the Netherlands year before last. So we have a very long association with the Indian business community. We are also sectorially very diverse. So it's not just IT companies that we tend to attract. We attract design companies, drone companies, chemicals, high tech, IoT, 3D printing. I would like to quote a small anecdote. Since Kurt highlighted that partnership is one of the key aspects of setting up a business, there was this company from Pina who wanted to explore how the aerospace market in the Europe looked like. They got in touch with one of our experts in Eindhoven. One thing led to the other, and before they knew, they were exhibiting their part at the Paris Air Show. So we always call it, how we quickly enable their journey from Pina to Paris. So partnership, of course, is extremely important, and we do specialize in building partnerships. So overall, how do we help you? Most of the time, the first step is to make a decision to take your business to the Netherlands. So primarily, we help you make that decision. And once you have made that choice, we help you to connect with the ecosystem, with the right kind of partners who will help you to execute the decision that you've made. We also help you about incentives available, what are the locations or what are the optimum location to set up your business. And if your business has to go through any regulatory processes and procedures, we help you to overcome that also. We also have, I must say, we had in the pre-COVID world something known as a fact-finding trip, which is a customized trip that we used to offer to Indian companies, where we used to take them to various stakeholders in the Netherlands for one-on-one meetings, although this is slowly taking a digital form as we speak. And all of this is extremely confidential unless you tell us to inform the world about your prospective Europe plans. We wouldn't do so. Here are a few testimonials from some of the international companies. David from Netflix about the diversity, Fabian from Google about the technological capability. I also have a special guest today, Mr. Prithvik Partha, Head of Business Transformation at ISOL. He's on air now. He will be on air in a few minutes. So I will let him tell his story about ISOL's journey into the Netherlands. And if you have questions about how to take your business to the Netherlands, I'm always available to answer your questions. On the screen is my email ID. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Balaji. Well, there's already one request in the chat box to connect with you, so that's good. Yeah. May I now give the floor to Mr. Prithvik Partha of iSolve.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning to all of you in the Netherlands. Namaskar to all of you in Bangalore. My name is Prithvik. His Excellency Mr. Het Haikop, Mr. Hein Lachavein, Mr. Ravi, Mr. Balaji. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I hope I got the pronunciation of the Dutch names right. If not, my apologies. I'm here representing ISOL. We set up our office last July. We were incorporated, and it's been functionally operational since February of this year. So I've just prepared a small presentation to take all of you interested through our experience and what I can share through our experience. Firstly, iSolve is a business transformation company. We are purpose-driven and transformation-led. We provide consulting, technology, service delivery, and other services to companies in the below domains. Some of the factors in Europe that we really learned was that the first most important thing is trust, right? I think Mr. Haikop was talking a lot about building long-term relationships, and I think the first element is trust. And our experience is, if you do what you say and say what you do, I think it's very easy to build long-term relationships, especially with getting your business engagements. It's very important that you have consistency in thoughts and actions. A lot of our business has been built through references. If we do good work with a customer, and then of course, word of mouth goes around. Incidentally, our group companies, we've been working with Dutch companies for over 26 to 30 years, even when the Dutch Guild was in existence. So that really helped. Second one, of course, any company moving there, I'm sure all of you have good competence, so a proven track record for work or any industry that you're targeting will help. Proximity. Now, the biggest, the rationale for iSolve to move to Europe was that we earn in 7 currencies, right from the Australian dollar to the US dollar. We are in across all time zones in Europe, in the Middle East, in Oceania, APAC, and also in the US. But our customers in Europe, they really wanted to do more business with us, and they always kept knocking on the door saying, hey, if you are in the same time zone or closer to us, maybe we can work more, do more things. So the rationale for us was really how near we are to the customer and how sooner can we get to our customer. So that played a major role in for us to first set up our office in Europe, and I will get into the details as to why we chose the Netherlands. The fourth most important factor, values and integrity. We are a value-driven organization. Some of the things that we pride ourselves on is the care we take for the society and the environment. So, for example, in our company, as much as we can, we recruit only from smaller cities and villages. So we're trying to take opportunities to the smaller cities and villages purely because the access to such opportunities are low. It gets lower even for them to now travel to the bigger cities to choose jobs. And if people ask me or any one of us at ISOL, how would you characterize what you do? We say, imagine a small 23-year-old girl or boy sitting in a small village or hamlet in India, building a world-class application used by 7 billion people. That's the dream. And all our offices in India use natural daylight through the day until, of course, it becomes dark. Mr. Balaji has been to one of our offices. So these are some things we actually learned from the Dutch especially about the environment, how sustainable we can be. And it really rubs off on what kind of an organization you are and what kind of value systems you bring. And that really does help when you're speaking with prospective customers and you describe the way you are. It's just not just about the work that you do or the services that you offer, but they take keen interest in your value systems, how your integrity, how you care for the society and environment. So that's something that has really helped us in paving our way into Europe. Transparency plays a vital role. One of the I hear from our founder and CEO who's been dealing with the Dutch for a long time. He always mentions that Dutch, if not for the only set of people, are one of the sets of people where you can completely disagree but still be friends. That's phenomenal. So transparency plays a massive role. If you're able to do what you say what you do, open up, like Mr. Haikop mentioned, they're very willing to learn about your family, your culture, and if there is really a two-way communication, then things become much easier, that much more sweeter. And the language and local presence is very important to build long-term relationships. I saw we don't look to onboard 20,000 or 2,000 customers. We want to work with 20 to 200 customers, but work for a long term. So our customer attrition rate, touchwood, has been close to nil. Our first customer of 16 years is still our customer, and he hails from a small city in Sweden. Some of the questions that we ask ourselves, which help, and I also would mention that you ask yourselves, people who are really interested to start an office in the Netherlands or anywhere in Europe, are who are your first or likely 10 customers going to be? Where are they situated? It's important to know that business happens in cycles. In Europe, it's not as quick as it is in India. So it's very important to identify who your likely customers are going to be, where they are. Of course, it's not that you will choose 10 and they will be your 10, but that indication is very important. Will you have a local hire? It's very important to at least plan for whenever the company is able to afford to have a local hire, purely because he or she will know the local market better. If there is a language, then he or she will speak it better, and it gives your company that much more credibility to compete. Do you have a country or strategy plan? Now, I have a very small anecdote to speak. So when we came to the Netherlands, Mr. Balaji knows this, we wanted to focus on the Dutch and the Norwegian market, Norway purely because our services and offerings had more traction there. And we had a country plan, strategy plan, everything was chalked out. And our first order that we got was from Berlin in Germany. And the second one was in Paris. And then we're in a situation where we're so tempted to take it because now we're new to Europe and we want to start off. We said, no, those are distractions. Let's focus on what we want to do. So it's very important to have a country and a plan. It's easy to get distracted. Please don't do that, because there are a lot of opportunities, but stick to your guns, and it's really helped us. Can the senior management be there, invest time, and learn? This is very important, especially for the small and medium-sized companies, because it's a new territory, it's a new market, and the more the people at the top can really learn about it, the better decisions that they can take. And right from our founder and CEO to me, we've invested. I live in the Netherlands now. So it's really helped us to learn about how the market is, how dynamic it is, what kind of customers there are, how different customers perceive your offerings, so on and so forth. There's a lot of intel that you can gain by just spending quality time locally. Have you got your pricing and costing right? Again, for an Indian company moving there, it's not that we can price the same way. So it's very important that we have to get our pricing and costing right. There are different factors, but we need to have a clear indication of what you're selling, who you're selling it to, and for how much. And you have to think long term in Europe. As I mentioned, business cycles, I mean, business happens in cycles. It takes 18 to 24 months to get your first solid deal. And it takes that much time simply because of how things happen there, especially in Scandinavia. Things are much slower. They really want to build a relationship first, then get into a sort of a business engagement. So please make sure you're in it in the long term. Think long term, 2 to 4 years to reach steady state at least. So that is something that you will have to keep in mind. Coming to our experience in the Netherlands, well, I must say it's been fantastic. Starting a company has been easy, right from registration to commencement. I have to place my sincere appreciation to Mr. Balaji and his team at the Nfva, who made it super helpful for us to get the right info and contacts. Of course, it's a process with the bank accounts and with all the paperwork, but the Nfva has been there with us throughout, and they're still there with us, which is remarkable. Mr. Balaji and I, we speak on and off, and he's always, like he mentioned in his presentation, giving us information, intel that companies require. So it's not that they drop you off and say, thank you very much. They're still there with you. So I highly recommend that you get in touch with them if you're super serious about starting a business in the Netherlands. Amsterdam has been great, easy to travel, easy to live, much less formal, easy for employees. Of course, I've been traveling to the Netherlands for the last 15 years, so I know a lot about it. But last 1 year, I've been in lockdown. The Netherlands is still under lockdown, so it's not been that easy to meet people. They're very warm, very open in their communication, both in business and life. You can have a meeting, and then of course you can also go to the bar with the same person. So there's the distinction between business and life is much lesser. It's a little bit more flat. English is good for most aspects. All of them speak English. Of course, I'm starting to learn Dutch because I love learning languages, and of course it will help businesses. It brings that much more authenticity to it. But I've never or seldom had a problem of people not knowing English. Everyone knows English in the country. Schiphol, very convenient to travel to anywhere. And one of the main reasons that we chose Amsterdam, I have to put this in record. We thought about Luxembourg. We thought about a city in Sweden and then Amsterdam. These were 3 picks. And why we chose Amsterdam was more as a strategic focal point, because we have a lot of offerings in the banking and insurance sector, and also given Brexit, a lot of companies are coming to Amsterdam. We have great access to skilled people. Innovation is top notch. So it really aligned for us to choose Amsterdam as our headquarters and come to the Netherlands. Topped up by how responsive and quick the Nfva were in helping us. So it's been a great journey for us, and we're in it for the long term. We're looking long term. So here we are. Thank you very much. Of course, feel free to reach out to me if you have more questions, or if you have want to do through Balaji as well. I'll try to help to the best of my abilities. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bcic, for a very positive presentation. It's always good to listen to Indian people talking very positive about the Netherlands. Thank you for that. It's now the Q&A session. Some questions have already been posted in the chat box. Please feel free to add more questions. I will combine some of my questions together with some of the questions that were asked in the chat. Let's see. First, a question asked by Mr. Subramanian in the chat to Mr. Balaji Venkatraman. Can you say something? Can you elaborate a little bit on the startup scene in the Netherlands?
Yeah. We see startups in two ways. One is, people with interesting idea and wanting to do some prototyping, some testing, and market validation. The second kind of startups that we see are actually scale-ups who have actually proven themselves in the market, or they have a proven model that works. For the first one, we have a separate department. I can connect you to my colleague, Mr. Sujit. He is already in this call, I believe. Sujit, can you please share your email ID in the chat box? If that is a startup you're trying to approach, you can contact Sujit. But for anything to do with scale-ups and above, please reach out to me. Having said that, Netherlands is a fantastic destination for startups. Please feel free to look at startupdelta.nl. You will find a lot of information there. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Balaji. Moving on to a question to Pritwik. Can you tell me something about how do you feel is the ease of doing business in the EU, in the European Union overall, having a base in the Netherlands?
Well, having a base in the Netherlands has, of course, opened a lot more opportunities for us to get in contact with, let's say, startups and small and medium-sized enterprises. It's given us that much more credibility and authenticity, because people really would like to meet people from the same country or with similar thought processes. So the transition has been smooth for us. As I mentioned, it's we've had customers in Europe for the last 15 years, but ever since having an HQ in Amsterdam, I've been able to go to Norway. It's a 1-hour flight, so the exposure to opportunities has really increased, and also the perception has changed when people deal with companies from the same region. So it's overall been positive.
Okay, thank you. Another question to you. Your story was very positive about the Netherlands, as I already mentioned, but well, we want to give a balanced presentation here about the Netherlands. So are there also, points that you had to get used to when moving to the Netherlands? Yeah, improvement points, so to say.
Yeah, I mean, again, I can only speak for myself, and it's been fairly good for us. But I think one of the things that Indians will get used to when coming to Netherlands is the directness in conversation. There's always a term called Dutch direct that people use. Sometimes it may come off a little differently, and people have to get used to that. It's just the way communication happens in the Netherlands. Apart from that, Mr. Heine, in my experience at least, I've never had any experiences apart from what I've mentioned. So it's been fairly positive, and that's kind of what we're leveraging and looking at.
Thank you for that. Question to Balaji from the chat by Mr. Sridasan. He is thinking about setting up a client manufacturing unit in Europe, in the Netherlands, and he was wondering if you could say something about skilled laborers in the Netherlands and tax benefits in the Netherlands.
Yeah, thank you. As far as manufacturing goes, we have some great options in the area of Rotterdam for you. You could completely outsource your skilled as well as unskilled labor there in Rotterdam. Lease your warehouse. So basically, you can outsource your entire operations back in the Netherlands. And tax benefits, there are two types of taxes. Are you talking about your sales tax and related to that? If that is the case, we have experts who could answer specific questions. But in general, corporate tax is around 22-23%. We have tax flyers that we can send you. If you drop me a mail, I can share you more info about the corporate tax. But for technical aspects, we have experts who can answer those questions.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Another question from the chat to you, Balaji. What are the office setup costs in the Netherlands if you compare them to other European countries?
I may not know about all European countries, but in general, when you look at London, say UK, or say Germany for that matter, expect to spend less, than those destinations. Definitely less than London, much more less than London. Again, in Netherlands, the office rentals vary. If you hire a space in Amsterdam, it's going to cost more, whereas if you go to other areas like Rotterdam or Utrecht, it will come down. Having said that, it's not mandatory. It is not mandatory that you hire an entire building. You can still rent some desks at a co-working space and still start your business. So you can pay per seat and still start your business.
Yeah, thank you. I understand, by the way, that those questions are already quite specific. Mr. Balaji Venkatraman's email address is posted in the chat, so you can always send emails to him as well with more specific questions. Let's see, question again to Balaji. Does Nfva also provide incubation support to enter the market?
When you say incubation, if you mean a free space, free internet, market access, lead generation, Nfva does not have the facility, but I mentioned earlier, Mr. Sujit, you can please approach him, and he is in turn connected with some accelerators and incubators who could be potential partners for your business.
Thank you. Then a question to Mr. Ravi. Is Bcic also helping your member companies with advice or insights on international expansion?
Are you telling about me?
Yes, I'm asking the question,
to you,
Mr.
me? Yeah.
Shall I repeat the question?
Yeah, please.
So can Bcic also help companies with advice or insights on international expansion?
Yes, what generally Bcic has got an international committee. So we generally, as you know, we do have a team, but we cannot be specialist in all the countries. So what we generally do is we interact with the chambers of commerce there and also with the embassies there and try to get the information and help the members. So this is one of the way of, we only create a platform because we are a non-profit body and we create a platform and try to see that the members get the benefit by associating them with the concerned persons.
Yes, very good.
One
Yes,
small thing, Mr. Hein, I think one of the member has sent a WhatsApp to me. So he's asking, please help us to obtain export quality certification from Netherlands for our cocoa pit based organic manure. I think your coconut, the shell of the coconut pit, it is used in agriculture and all that. So they wanted export quality certification. So what is it he has to do?
That's already quite a specific question.
Okay.
I suggest this gentleman to send an email to our Consul General, to either Mr. Sujit, our trade officer, or just a general email, and then we will try to assist this gentleman.
Yeah.
Mr. Heikoop, are you still part of the chat? Because I would like to ask you a question as well.
Yep, still there.
Perfect. So you've been living a long time abroad. You've been living in a lot of different countries. But moving back to the Netherlands, what is the one thing that you like most about the Netherlands, about living in the Netherlands?
Good question. I think Mr. Frederik Pratna, I hope I pronounced his name correctly, already gave a good presentation on what it's like to be living in the Netherlands for an expat coming from India. It's not that different, actually, I think, for a Dutchman who is coming back from an extended period of time, having lived in different countries. I once read a study by a psychologist who said that the food you eat the first 7 years of your life, that is the food that you will like the rest of your life. And I've seen that throughout my career in the 11 countries where I've worked, I see that when people enter into an expat life and they go back to their own country, one of the things they enjoy is eating their own food. And the funny thing is, I remember being in Canada. I was posted in Vancouver before I came to India. I was telling some Canadian colleagues that every time we flew back from Amsterdam to Vancouver, we took suitcases full of Dutch food with us. And my Canadian colleague said, that's funny, we do the same thing. When we fly back from Canada to The Hague, where he was working in the Canadian embassy, he also flew back with suitcases full of Canadian food. And when I talked to Ambassador Rajmoni, who was recently retired from the Indian diplomatic service and has become a good friend of mine, he told me the same thing. It's something it's something human, I think. A psychologist could tell you a lot more about it than I can, but I think people like their own food. And it's one of the things I'm looking forward to. There's also things I'm not looking forward to. I just come back from a trip to Holland. It was snowing and -2 degrees when I left the Netherlands yesterday. And I arrived here in Bangalore. It's 25 degrees. The sun is shining. It's everything looks better when the sun is out.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Heikoop. Follow-up question to Mr. Pridvik from the chat function. You already touched upon it, but maybe you can elaborate a little bit on it. Question about differences in leadership styles between Dutch and Indians and the way of leading the way forward with Dutch personalities, but mainly question about difference in leadership between Dutch and Indians.
Wow. Okay. So again, this is more from my experiences. I think at least with all our Dutch counterparts, if you're able to openly communicate, say what you do and do what you say, they're very comfortable. All they're looking for is of course build a long-term relationship and also make sure that it's win-win. So one of the leadership, I wouldn't call it a leadership style, but more an approach towards doing business is win-win for both the vendor and the customer. Of course, it's a bit more flat in the Netherlands as compared to many companies in India, where there could be more of a hierarchy. But we've been dealing with European companies, and our leadership style is very similar to many companies in Europe. So I'm not able to really say differences because I've not seen the other side of Indian companies, unfortunately. But I think it's very positive. Usually, it's been, at least from my experience, very positive, very win-win, very purpose-driven. I hope I was able to answer the question to the best of my abilities.
I think you have, Pridvik. Thank you very much. Question from, I guess, a student, Harita, to Balaji Venkatraman. From a student perspective, who completed their masters in engineering, nanotechnology, how can they look for job opportunities in the Netherlands?
There are the following ways. Number one, obviously, is to look at companies in the Netherlands, their websites, and I have personally seen job opportunities being posted for international candidates. One good thing is there is no discrimination and it's equal opportunity for everyone across the world. So that's path number one. Path number two is to do an advanced study program in the Netherlands for more than 1 year, I guess. So if you are a student in a Dutch university for more than 1 year, you get a visa extension for 1 more year. You can stay there and look for jobs yourself, which is more which has got a possibility of you landing in a interview. And the third way is, of course, join an Indian company with a branch in the Netherlands and get deputed there. So these are the 3 ways you can look for an opportunity.
Yeah. Thank you, Balaji. That was already quite insightful. And Harita, if you have more questions about, being a student in Europe and continuing your working life in the Netherlands, please do not hesitate to also reach out to our Consul General. We have an education team in our Consul General, and they are more than happy to provide you with more answers. Balaji, other question to you. What sort of companies does Nfva deal with usually? And how does Nfva help these companies expand to the Netherlands?
Yeah, so we are sector agnostic. So we work with almost all sectors except for one or two that are sensitive. Say if you're selling weapons or something, then we don't come into the picture. But otherwise, all sectors. But if I look at the past data, most of our investments have come from high-tech companies, primarily engineering services, IoT, AI, machine learning, you name it. And off late, the trend is a lot of SaaS companies. SaaS companies, especially in the fintech space, are really looking forward to this year. We've already got queries from a couple of them who want to look at European markets. As I mentioned in my slide earlier, the way we support is we help you execute your decision right from finding a strategic location until all the regulations and procedures are taken care. We handhold you. And even after you set up, we keep in touch with you, as Mr. Pratvik mentioned. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Balaji. Mr. Heikoop, there's a question in the chat about Dutch companies in Karnataka. Not sure if you're still with us. Otherwise,
Yeah,
I will.
I am.
Okay, perfect. So, Mr. Heikoop, there is a question by Rahul Karu in the chat about how many Dutch companies are there in Karnataka and what sectors are they active in?
Well, the sector is the easiest to answer. Most Dutch companies active in India in general, not only in Karnataka, we have them all over India, are active in a limited number of sectors: agri, health, water. Is it another one? I think we have 4. Energy, water, health, agri. That is the bulk of the Dutch companies active here. How many companies we have is difficult to say because not every company registers. The big ones do, of course. I mean, companies like Shell and Philips, they have offices in Karnataka with more than 5,000 people, and we see them all the time. But there's also small companies, and what do you call a company active in India? Is a company that is flying in frequently with representatives from the Netherlands active in India, or do you expect them to have an office located in Bangalore or in another city in Karnataka? A rough count in the Chamber of Commerce, in the Dutch business circle that we have, is that we have about 40-50 companies active here.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Heikoop.
Welcome.
Consul General, I think one of the factors what I find when we compare to companies from Germany, Bcic, and a couple of other Japanese companies, we find a lot of MSMEs coming to India, particularly Karnataka. I think I would like to know from BCIC what sort of initiatives we should take to see that these smaller companies come to India. We call it as MSMEs. So if we can do something on that line, because we have about 250-300 companies, Japanese companies. The big names, they don't require our help at all. The smaller ones are what require that hand-holding from the consulate, from the chamber, and other players.
Well, you're preaching for the converted. Of course, that's also our intention to especially help the smaller companies, because the likes of Shell and Philips and Bosch and name it, they don't need our help. Sometimes we need their help actually, but it's the smaller companies that need advice from us. So maybe we can cooperate in that field and help small companies. And actually we work both ways. It's not just helping Dutch companies who want to set up shop in India. We also try to help Indian companies who want to set up shop in the Netherlands. And I think in both respects, you and I, our two organizations, can help each other and the company.
Sure.
Thank you. There was another question in the chat about electronic items that the Netherlands imports. I suggest the person that asked that question sends an email to our Consul General, and then we can try to answer that question bilaterally. We have answered all the questions in the chat so far. If I forgot one, please send an email to Mr. Balaji or our Consul General. But all questions are answered, so thank you very much to Pratvik, Balaji, Mr. Rafi, Mr. Heikoop. And I would now like to give the floor to Mr. Boos Nair for the closing remarks.
Thanks, Legwin. Good evening. On behalf of BCIC, it's an honor for me to conclude today's webinar on Discover the Netherlands Business Climates. Netherlands is one of the preferred destinations for Indian business community. Many companies are attracted by the innovative environment and physical and digital infrastructure. The European Union even recognized the innovative nature of the city by naming Amsterdam as the European capital of innovation. My sincere thanks to His Excellency, Mr. Gert Hejiko, Consul General of Kingdom of Netherlands, and Mr. Hein Legwin, the Deputy Consul General, Mr. Balaji from the Netherlands Foreign Investment Agency, and Prithvik for sparing their valuable time and support to promote the trade and investment opportunities. We are privileged to have our President, Mr. Parasuraman, to grace the occasion. My sincere thanks to Mr. Ravi, Chairman of the International Business Expert Committee, focusing more on the subject to promote international trade and investment and positioning Karnataka as the preferred destination for business and leisure. Thanks to all the participants for attending the session. If you have any question, please write to the chamber. Chamber will be pleased to attend your queries. Thank you very much. Wish you all a happy New Year. And last but not least, thanks to Prithvi and team, the Secretariat, for their supporting services. Thank you very much.
I think I should also thank Hein. I think there was a congratulatory message. I mean, somebody tried to really appreciate the way you have handled the whole.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is one of the way I don't know how you really handled, attended all the questions and within the time limit. Thank you very much.
As mentioned by Boos Nair, what I'm sure I'll be getting a lot of questions. I will be formulating everything, and then we will try to share it with the embassy, for the consulate, and we'll see what best we can do for the benefit of our members.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
If I may also say a word of thanks, first of all, to the BCIC for helping us in organizing this. As I said before, we would love to do this again. I think we are complementary to each other. We can help each other. And absolutely. I would also like to lend my voice to those who compliment Heine for organizing these things, this event. Heine, well done. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hein, I think you still got a few more questions. Probably we can take it in the next round, or we'll surely forward it to you.
Definitely, and more than happy to organize the next round with the BCIC. Thank you very much for joining, and thank you for attending.
1 minute, huh? I think there's something more to come. Just 1 minute. Mr. Prithvi?
So we are here, sir.
Yeah, please, sir. I think
Very nice. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Mr. Gert, I'll personally, this is a virtual meeting. We would take it an opportunity to come and meet you personally and hand over a small memento on behalf of BCIC. Well, we can't give you high tea. We can surely come and meet you personally, and it was our pleasure to have you. And I'm sure the next meeting would be a physical one, so that we all meet.
I sincerely hope so.
Yeah,
I sincerely hope so too, because I much rather do these meetings in person than from a screen. But I think that's for all of us.
Sure, sir. So thank you very much, sir. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Thank you,
everybody.
thank you, Hein. Thank you,
Thank
Balaji.
you very much, sir.
Thank you, Prithvi. Bye.